Hi, this is an Avalanche Institute video on the spring climbing course, climbing and mountaineering in spring season. It's a special course dedicated to that, and this is a review of Module 7. I'm Jim Frankenfield. I created this course many years ago, long before it was trendy and long before AI was writing the courses. It's a human-created course and a human-supported course. And in this quick video, I will just review Module 7, which is on human factors. I hope you've watched the previous modules. We skipped Module 6, that was already explained in a previous video. If you want to know any more about my background, since you're taking a course I created and I support through the Avalanche Center, there's a video on our channel, and it's not in this playlist, but on the channel. There's an introduction video. So let's get to Module 7 here. If you are in the module and watching this for an overview of what you'll be getting in the module, welcome to the module. You should have a good idea of how the course works and what to expect by now, although there are a couple new things. If you're not in the course and you're checking it out, well, this has you should have watched the previous modules, and this will have a couple new things. I don't think many things on this front page are new. One thing is, which is student publications. You can upload a report or something you write up about a human factors experience you had. We encourage people to do that. We don't really have any on this course, which has been lightly used so far. We have had some submissions in the level 1 course where it's actually considered an assessment. In this course, it's considered an option, and we encourage people to do it. It's not quite clear yet whether people want to do that as part of an Avalanche course, although there are other courses that have some written work. On the other hand, there are courses that have replaced the classroom instruction with a large amount of reading, and students just didn't do that at all. So we'll see if people actually participate in this student publication or not. And those are things you upload that are shared with all the other students. They are anonymous, and anybody mentioned in it can and probably should be anonymized. The point is to share your experience with human factors. So we have typical notes on the module, workbook introduction, typical overview, and we have a human factors triangle to go along with the objective factors in the standard Avalanche triangle. So these are the subjective factors that, and we can't teach you this material in the same way that we teach you the science of how snow crystals change and things like that. These are things you need to be aware of, and they need to be considered when you put your plan together for a climb. And there are factors that are more important or more common in climbing, or maybe even unique. So we go over some common problems, some behavior factors, both with individuals and when you put them together in groups. We try to lighten up the course a little bit here with some posters from despair.com, and there's a link to that in the links section. So we're sprucing it up with some appropriate posters. So yeah, here's another one. Many of the sections have one or two of these posters. We talk about incidents for climbers, and we have a section warning you about fads and trends and things that courses like to teach for one reason or another. Often it sounds good and looks good. We mentioned heuristic traps, which is a very interesting topic. We say that right here. It's interesting and well researched. It's not something that you can really apply. It's kind of like teaching snow crystal metamorphism, and that's interesting, and we go into that in a more advanced course in a secondary module. But the science behind the crystal changes isn't really something you're going to apply on a day-to-day basis. And that's the same with heuristic traps. That research has been used to create decision-making frameworks and tools, but it can't be directly applied very well, if at all. Another example is lately, for a while now, people have loved to talk about alpha angles and run-out angles. And a lot of this started in a book by Bruce Tremper, Staying Alive on Avalanche Terrain, I believe. These solid bars are what he claimed corresponded to climates. And I've seen this twice in the last week when I was looking for other things, once in the American Avalanche Institute and once in backcountry.com magazine, and they both refer back to Tremper. And this is wrong. It's just plain wrong. People still like to teach it. It's not something you can apply. These angles are for extreme events that happen on the order, more or less, of once in 100 years. Okay, we don't really worry about that in our planning, and yet people are talking about it as if it's something you can use. This is in the Education and Science blog on the Avalanche Center. Anyway, a little bit of an aside there. That's another current example, an ongoing example of a fad and trend. Most people teaching that don't understand where those angles come from or what they mean, or the fact that even for 100 years there's statistical variation involved. When we talk about methods, level 1 course has a whole long module on decision-making methods and frameworks. They are generally created and designed for winter use, so they don't apply right now in the spring course. We do look at the bullseye approach, which goes back to Snow Sense, a very old book, which first introduced this idea. This idea is very relevant today. You can apply this to the case studies in this course, and you'll find it goes very well. There's also an associated red, yellow, green. So here you can rate each of these items, green, yellow, or red. This again is oriented more towards winter, but you could reduce it to terrain, snowpack, weather, and human, and just give each one of them color. Or you can make up your own list for spring. Things like this help you make objective decisions, and this is what the human factors is all about. We go back to a case study. There's an assignment which is optional. You can submit a student publication. We hope you'll do that. The only assessment in this module is something else new. That's a crossword. So there are a lot of terms that we use in this module, and you can try to review them on this. If you click on the number, like 1, it'll show you the hint for 1 down. And the disposition towards perceived risk is risk propensity. And when you enter, it'll put it in there. If you click another one, is there one? Yeah, well, if you click 3, it'll be for going across. And it'll give you a clue for that one. So that's the only assessment in the Human Factors Module 7. Then there's a conclusion and your feedback. So that's it. It seems a little bit shorter with less assessment. It's a different type of material than all of our other modules. But in the final module, which is 10, we'll be putting this all together in planning. And when you plan a climb, you need to consider the human factors as well as the weather and snowpack. So when you do the planning in Module 10, you're going to need human factors and weather and snowpack. What happened in Modules 8 and 9? Well, those one of them is advanced snowpack metamorphism material and stability testing, which we have in we have a Module 8 in our Level 1 course. We don't have that here in this course. That material really would not apply in spring. And Module 9 are the decision-making frameworks and tools that I mentioned a minute ago. Those also are, there's too many of them and too much material for this course, and they really don't apply to spring. Most of the things being considered in those things they rely heavily on objective factors, and those factors are oriented towards winter. So that's it. That's Module 7. When you finish this one, you can go on to Module 10, and that discusses how to put all this together into a safe plan. Most accidents, especially with climbing, come down to poor planning. And if the people had planned a better climb and looked at the right factors, they wouldn't have been there in the first place. And you'll see that in all 3 of the case studies we use in the course. That's it, and I'll see you for the Module 10 review, and that'll summarize the entire course at that point. Bye.